Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Cureton, senior journalist from XR Today, here to bring you the big news show for April. And today we have on three very special guests. Sorry about that. First we have on Jay Latta. He's a public speaker and founder of STINT. We also have Kevin O'Donovan joining us from Nice. He is the co-chair of VRARA Industrial Metaverse Committee. We also have on Samantha Tauber. She is a founder, futurist, and chief metaverse officer at VNCCII Party Limited. So thanks everyone for joining today. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Hey, hello.
All right. So today we have two amazing, juicy topics to discuss today. I'm going to firstly move on to ChatGPT. So we've had quite a few conversations about ChatGPT over the last few months with a lot of colleagues. And we wanted to kind of touch on this subject because this is going to bring a lot of changes, I suppose, to the industry itself. And now we're slowly starting to see some creep into virtual reality. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the first one. We talk a little bit about some of the practical ChatGPT applications we'll see in the future. What are you seeing as far as ChatGPT integrations go? I guess we're going to kick it off with Kevin O'Donovan.
What am I seeing? Seeing all sorts of stuff. To me, and I'll state this up front. I am no AI expert. So I'm watching this from afar, and you have ChatGPT, and you have Baby GPT, and you have AGIs, and all sorts of things that are popping up in the past couple of weeks and months. You see people using such technology for everything from writing articles to creating cool images, and now doing things in real time, where an avatar walks around or create a virtual world for me and this, that, and the other. And the best comment I've seen, or I don't know who coined it, but they're on about like prompt engineering. I just talk to something and it creates something. Mm-hmm. Where's it going to lead? I honestly don't know. What I do think is it breaks down the barrier to entry for a lot of people. Even if that's just writing a blog, it's like, give me the first 100 words so I can get something to go off. Create a virtual world. I think some of the demos I've seen in terms of creating real world, real time AR, VR, XR experiences are incredible. Now they're clunky, and are they accurate and whatever. But I think we're just starting to figure out what we can do with this, and I think we haven't figured out half of what people will do with this. So interesting times, bit scary as well, but interesting times.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot that we can say about it, because I think people are just kind of testing the waters with the technology itself. We saw some very good conversations coming out of NVIDIA, especially using some Gen AI kind of techniques to create things in the Omniverse. I was going to jump over to Sammy. What about you? Have you seen anything new in the industry as far as ChatGPT goes?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with Kevin. This whole democratization due to ChatGPT, we're seeing it come in waves as well. Like, my background is a music producer, so I experienced that whole democratization with, making a hit record from your bedroom, right? And then we're seeing this with 3D. Now we're seeing this completely revolutionize all industries with ChatGPT as this conversational platform built on top of OpenAI, which obviously has reached, over 100 million users in over 2 months. In terms of ways I can see ChatGPT influence XR and the metaverse, obviously as an API integration layer, as well as, real-time text to 3D due to ChatGPT, like solving many problems and making workflows more efficient, as well as increasing remote collaboration between teams, auto-translation, for people that speak different languages. I recently came across Synthesis AI, which is doing text to high-resolution real-time 3D avatars. And this whole question of, a conversational chat GPT, what does this look like, with XR in the metaverse, with having intelligent NPCs as avatars, as these conversational chat bots. And I've been talking about this with a few friends of mine, private personal assistants, and what that looks like as a chat GPT in terms of protecting your sovereign data and maybe having different PPAs, right, for different environments and workspaces. So you have your own personal home PPA as well as, in the workplace. And what does that look like as an API layer with the metaverse?
Yeah, and a lot of content creators have been very interested to see what it can do for them. And there's all sorts of GPT protocols that you can use to even create music. So now people are wondering about that. We'll actually get into that a bit later on. Jay, I'm gonna jump over to you. What are your thoughts on this particular subject?
So I agree to disagree. The thing is 3 points that I want to bring into the discussion. Democratization, it's even more, it's emancipation. And right now you have people that, it will enhance creativity of the humans. Right now, having a cool idea, but you are not really happy with it, how you sketch it, how you define it. Now it brings you this initial idea that you can simply work on it so that it's presentable. So I see here some kind of emancipation of all of these wannabes that maybe had a WordPress tutorial, that know how to deal with Adobe stuff and so on, that charge you a lot of money. You have to pay them in advance. You are getting something and it's shit. Right now, you can simply pre-compile all of this. So all of these high-paid experts that are real experts, they will become even better. This emancipation from these wannabes that are simply destroying the industry since decades, and you cannot really complain about them because there are enough idiots out there who are paying them. Now, with these tools, they become irrelevant. So I see here a new rise of quality that everyone can bring into the game right now with this idea and then perfectionize it through the real experts. Second thing is what I want to bring into the game is it's not creative. AI, what we call AI, is dumb as hell. It can only reach you. It's just statistical models. What we see here is just high compute power, and it's a brute force attack on what we think is intelligence, but it cannot be creative. So to all of the creatives out there, you are in no danger. The only guys who are in danger are workflow guys who are simply repeating things. So this repetition will be replaced, will be accelerated. The thing is here that currently this huge hype, who is hyping it? It's all the people who want to make crap loads of money. It's not the creatives who are using it. So all of these investments into this stuff goes or is from the perspective of how can we make simply shitloads of money. We'll see. Because as well, the huge discussion that currently appeared in the media is the lobby organizations from the creatives. We need to regulate it, yada, yada. It's not about regulation. I mean, come on. What is culture? What is art? What is creativity? We take something, steal it, refurnish it, and then it's ours. Creativity, art is always, we just don't call it stealing, we call it inspiration. With this shit, what is currently going on, that we have to protect and we have to regulate and so on and so on, it just means you have one thing and how to remonetize it. This is my huge concern, that we simply in this early stage, instead of figuring it out, what can we do with it, that we simply mess it up again because it's just about money. The third thing, what Sammy said about this personal assistants, yes and no. These models, I mean, if they would run locally in your environment, then they can keep an eye on your data, on really your stuff. We are far away from this. You still need, it's as well in the big news article about NVIDIA and so on. I always read how NVIDIA do this and so on. This marketing stuff. So more or less they are aiming for any kind of cloud connectivity. So you need to be connected. You need to have a cloud, whatever. It's control, taking control. This personal assistance, it would be cool. Like, I don't know if you guys know the Knowledge Navigator, a vision from Apple from 1989, I think. It was a commercial. You can see it on YouTube. It's really very Disney and so on. But it shows this professor comes into his office. and starts a conversation with his assistant, which is like on some kind of foldable iPad. And this assistant, which might be ChatGPT, Siri sucks. This would be really the thing where you, in a interaction, it can modify your life data. It can help you to enrich. So this discussion was between the professor and the assistant, the latest results, the latest research, and so on, simply helping him to prepare a new research article, a new lecture, and so on. This is magic. This is really something that I'm looking for since ages. It's more or less something like Jarvis, right? One hope that I have right now for the generations of creators is that you have to learn how to articulate your thoughts. We go away from this emoji bullshit where you are using just short whatever, and I'm over 50, I have to guess what they want to tell me. Now that you have to learn how to articulate to get the best fitting result for you, maybe we will see a new rise of logic, a new rise of thinking, a new rise of articulating yourself.
Yeah, quite possibly. And I know that a lot of the content generation is based on, you know, the keywords that you enter into the search field. I was playing around a little bit with Stable Diffusion and Microsoft AI generator, and you have to be very, very precise as to how you want to generate the content, and it just canvasses the entire internet to get it. And it was actually pretty interesting the way they developed the photos. I know as far as some of the companies that we've run into when it comes to generative AI, they're able to use that to create, curricula on the fly. Basically, you can ask it, okay, I want this scene, I want the characters to have this tone at this particular period in time. Companies like, I think it was, AR/VR, they're playing around with it a bit. NVIDIA's playing around with it a bit. And I remember even at Meta, they announced at one of the Connect events that they were creating a kind of generative AI platform where you could just create whole worlds, tell it what you want, and it will actually do it in real time. So there's a lot of issues that are being kind of unveiled about data privacy, real-time communications, some of the infrastructure that they need to create these types of, products. And then how are they going to sell it and market it to the people? I mean, I know with Stable Diffusion, you actually have to pay for it after a certain amount of uses. So yeah, there's a lot to go down with, especially with this type of thing. But there's also...
just a second, sorry for interrupting you. Imagine, for example, us four being in a meta environment, whatever, in some kind of private verse, whatever. And now we decide to go into a nice pub somewhere in Ireland, yada, yada, whatever. And while we are talking about this, the assistant in the background simply prepares the environment for it. So here, the main magic in concerning XR or Metaverse will be creation on demand. While the people, so you do not need to create this whole landscape and everything will be prepared and consumption of resources and so on. It can create stuff on the fly while simply the four of us decide to go for a pint somewhere and whatever. And due to our preferences, how we imagine it, simply give us the best fitting experience. This is something I would like to have.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone else want to jump in on that?
A couple of points to come back on. And, again, I am fascinated by the speed at which this has kind of come into mainstream, right, in the last 6 months, maybe less. And I keep coming back to like what Jay said is that, yeah, it's brilliant for doing certain things, but it's not magic, right? This is not Skynet that does everything for us, right? But it's very good at certain things. And at the same time, it's like we're here kind of reviewing it as if it was a done, and it's ready and it's finished and it's not going to evolve anymore. Like this is like 0.001% of the way on wherever this ends up. So we kind of sometimes overestimate everything up front, and then we underestimate what it'll do over 6, 12, 18 months. Imagine where we'll be in 2 years' time with this stuff. But to Jay's point, I do think it will make some people better. So the quality, the bar, I think the bar is going to raise. I'm not sure we're going to, I think more, it does democratize, emancipate. So I do think we get more people creating blogs and creating stuff and whatever. Does that just make more noise, or is it harder to stand out? I don't know, but everyone's entitled to have a try, right? So have a go at it. And to your point and Sammy on the whole, your digital twin and the implications that has for your medical digital twin and your personal digital twin. And Jay, we're having a chat tonight somewhere, and I don't feel like chatting to you, so I'll send my digital twin to go chat to you, and you'll send yours, and we'll go off and talk to someone else. And I agree, a lot of that, you can do some of that stuff today, and it's all cloud-based. And that technology and the rendering and the whatever is fascinating. But there is more and more of a push as well toward the edge computing, because in industry, not every, the speed of light isn't as fast as you want, and you security. So potentially we do get back to the, you have this, it'll probably be a high-powered box in your home that your digital twin lives in, and whatever, and security and privacy and your own data and whatever. So I think, but like we're only scratching the surface on this stuff, and there's some scary implications. But that's the same with any technology, right? People will use it for good stuff, and they'll come up with bad things to do.
Can I add to Kevin's point? In 2020, I wrote an article for a music blog, actually, EDM.com. It was like how super sentient AI can peacefully coexist with music producers. It was just an editorial thought piece. It was a thought exercise because I read the book Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark, and it kind of explores different perspective timelines and perspectives of like AI from the AI's perspective, and how that has an implication for Life 3.0 with its interaction with humans. And it's funny because I'm coming from the perspective of a creative, and so I'm seeing ChatGPT 4, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and I have to say, like, it's almost like the AI has its own kind of psychedelic form of creation. Like, we've got to acknowledge that there is another being now. It's not just humans that are the sole creators on this planet. And that is a major point, a pivotal point that we're all experiencing in history right now. But I have to say, with ChatGPT-4, it does feel a bit like a stochastic parrot. It does the job, but it lacks efficiency. I mean, it's efficient, but it lacks nuance. And it really, as a creative, challenges me, because it makes me think, how do I pursue excellence, not just be, standard or average, like in a way, it's almost like, sparring partner, like it challenges you to pursue excellence. And it also makes you think about the concept of the human brain. If we can't even fully decode and understand the human brain itself in terms of symbolic awareness and semantic reasoning, like how can we expect, an AI to become an AGI or super sentient? I'm not an expert on AI, but I'm interested in this from a philosophical and a creative perspective, especially since part of the Vinci project is I have this fictional being character called Vinci, who is this super sentient AI superheroine from the future. And people always ask me, do you actually use AI at the moment when you're creating your works for this fictional being? And I've made the deliberate choice at this point, for anything that comes out of output for Vinci, just to be solely human created, to the point to demonstrate almost like a reverse psychology of like, I am a human piloting this character. What does that look like? Trying to imbue as much human emotion as possible into this fictional AI being. So potentially, if it does become this intelligent NPC in the future, it will look back with, I don't know, some form of simulated empathy that a human tried to create a multidimensional awareness for it as a character. So I think that's just an interesting approach to creativity. And so the positive side of this whole ChatGPT AI revolution is it is opening up this, Pandora's box cornucopia of all these different creative outlets, in terms of storytelling, in terms of the output itself, partnering with AI. I think it's myopic and limiting to believe that, we'll be taken over by these AI overlords like Terminator, Doom-esque scenario. I have a more positive outlook for the future that's more pragmatic, but it is inevitable, the technological singularity and this explosive Cambrian explosion growth of AI. So it's how do we as, a human species manage this, ethically and empathetically, and also allow it to challenge us, to pursue excellence, in terms of creation, because the benefit, right, is it democratizes, everyone becomes a creator, right? But what really connects, with another human? Because are we creating the art for AI? Who's our audience? Are we creating it for humans? So I think that's another interesting factor to consider with art and creativity. Who is your audience? If your audience is a bunch of intelligent NPCs in the metaverse, maybe creating with AI might resonate more. But if your audience is humans, maybe, coming from the human experience will have, a deeper meaning and value. But it's really interesting. So these are the things I just think about on a daily basis.
Sammy, you said something very important. You as a creative, you have already a professional approach concerning these AI tools. It's a sparring partner. It's something that enhances you. This is the difference from an amateur that will simply use it to perfectionize, while you see it how to get impulses, how to improve, and so going this journey. Psychedelic is something because the AI models are having this holistic approach, far more things than we have from our perspective. Therefore, it seems like this kind of blurry whatever thingsy. I don't think they can be creative, because for creativity you need emotions. These things do not have emotions. The current state of AI, not with these technologies, is more or less on the electrical, on the mathematical level. These are algorithms that are 70 years old. Deep learning is based on theories of the human brain of the 1960s. We know far more how it looks like. There is in our human intelligence as well a chemical component. Drink 10 pints and you will see how it changes your thinking, right? We know since 6-7 years that the human brain is more like a quantum computer, less like a computer. We don't think in ones and zeros. A few, the savants, they think like this, maybe. We think more in yes, no, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. So here, an AGI would need all of these different elements. But what if there is an intelligence layer where you have a unicorn jumping over a green field with daisies? As long we don't know, as long we don't understand human intelligence, these things are just a brute force attack, what we think is intelligence, not creative.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks so much for the shout out for Max Tegmark on that one, because it's actually one of my favorite books I'm reading right now. And he actually mentioned some really cool things about the fact that, AI tend to learn exponentially as opposed to, human thinking patterns. And also another thing is that, as technology improves, as we're actually surpassing Moore's law at this point, it's actually an outdated concept. So as things begin to, become more advanced with the technologies that we develop, so will AI in itself. And the ability to process data, it may get to a point where, they talk about the singularity, where things will just, be all interconnected as far as the data is concerned within the supercomputers. And then that's when we'll start to get into AGI and then ASI. But, that's a topic for another day. I definitely could go down so many rabbit holes with that one. I was going to ask you, what about some of the negative concepts, some of the negative, backlash from using certain kinds of ChatGPT or Stable Diffusion or or DALL-E or any of those other ones? Do you think that there could be an adverse effect on industries, dependent on these technologies?
It depends on the side of the fence you're on. If you're a creative today and my thing is just creating stock photos and I sell them to Shutterstock or whatever, right? Now I can just generate 10,000 of them myself. So it's going to create disruption. I come back to what Sammy and Jay said as well, is that we talk about new technologies and we talk about VR and we talk about Wi-Fi and look at how it changed our worlds and whatever. And the smartphone and compute and the diode and whatever. And it did, but I don't think it changed the way we think. And I think the AI has a way of changing that. And we spoke about this, that it depends on, if you ask the right question, you'll get a better answer from the AI today. They're not, as Jay's point, they're not that intelligent, right? So there'll be a whole skill of, how do I ask the right question? How do I frame it? Jay, you mentioned that, how do you contextualize it and whatever. So I'm not sure, like, that's going to have profound changes on our entire way we think and our education systems and how we approach things. It's not just another tool. It's a fundamental change in the way we structure things, and how AI helps us, collaborates with us, and to Sammy's point, takes the bar for excellence goes higher. But there's going to be all sorts of people will just use good technology for bad things. Right, we always will. We always have in 10,000 years, so that's not going to change. Some people will be threatened by it because my job's going to go away, or what's it going to do to my kids, or whatever. I don't know the answer, and I don't know the answer. There's profound change, and change is scary. And I think the debate going on that, well, do we ever want to get to an artificial general intelligence? And if we do, well, then it should be just like a human, and as contrary and idiosyncratic and troublesome as us humans are, or we have a completely unbiased, logical, rational, super cool AI. And I'm kind of going, be careful what you ask for, because it might decide that us humans are not great. And then you get the Skynet. So look, there's going to be backlash. And you had an article about the guys with the interview and the prompts and the whatever, and we can't do that. And it's like, well, the interviewer could have one as well. So it's raising the bar, and I suppose the biggest consequence is that will we have a bigger have and have nots, the people who have access to this and not. So.
I wanted to jump in quickly, touch on that point, Kevin. When the guys from Stanford, they created those the monocle, they integrated that into the ChatGPT. I think it was 3.5. To me, some of the responses that I found from that article, were kind of disheartening, because people are trying to create something creative for themselves, create use cases for these technologies. And the way that people tend to react to them raises a lot of questions for me as to the imagination of the general public. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When it came to things like the Metaverse and this chance for people to interact in a spatial way, because it came from a company like Meta, well, this is bad, this is horrible, why can't we just do things like this in real life? When they created the ChatGPT glasses, people were slagging them off, saying like, this is a stupid idea. And this is the way that we kill dreams for the future innovations that we're going to be implementing. It has to start at a specific point and experiment with these types of technologies. We'll touch on that a bit more later, because I will go on a rant about that. But I'm going to take it over to one of the others. Jay or Sammy, what would you say about that?
About glasses or about downsides of AI?
I will keep on with the downsides of AI.
Yeah, I mean, there's two main things that I think of top of mind. One, the potential issue of lack of authenticity. And then the second one being the question of what is fundamental truth, or, whose truth. The issue with, AI is that we fall into the trap already with social media, with algorithmic filtration bubbles, and, in terms of how we're consuming content and our general perception and understanding of the world. It's only becoming even more amplified with, ChatGPT and any form of explosive AI technology. And so my concern is that, it will create more division, in society, in terms of like not understanding what is truth, because, how reliable and how trustworthy is an AI? It, like, as I said earlier, it feels a bit like a stochastic parrot, where it currently is at, but it also comes down to, just ethics and how do we regulate that, but also how do we come to an understanding of what is truth, like what is reality. And another concern is like when we connect this as API interfaces, with any sort of XR or Metaverse technology, becoming disconnected from the real world, and appreciating the beauty and nuance of nature. Any form of technology should fundamentally connect people, not disconnect people. So like to your point earlier, we don't want to stifle innovation, but at the same time, it's like, basic human skills of, social listening and eye contact, we don't want to lose that just for the sake of efficiency of technology and AI.
Good points. Jay, how about you?
As first, technology is just a tool. It's not about the technology. Technology is not biased. We are the bias. If I start to collect data, Kevin or Semi start to collect data, we have different backgrounds, we have different experiences, we have different motivation and of course expectation. So the data that we are collecting is always biased. The algorithm can only process what we are putting into the game. That's the thing. So it's just a tool. It's up to us how we use this. So it's our responsibility. If I'm an asshole and I create it to blackmail someone, to rob someone, then it's me. It's not the AI. It's not the data. It's simply because I'm an asshole. When it comes into truth, Semi, I'm so sorry. There is no truth. There is no. We have aspects. We have facets on something. What is this? Tell me, what is it? What is your truth? It can be anything. It can be the QR code of a manual. It can be to order something. It's a business card. So it's from the point of perspective. The ultimate truth, if something like this exists, I mostly describe it when I'm giving lectures, I describe it as a sphere, because the sphere is the only thing that looks from every angle the same. So here, truth means more or less the universal truth is something that is spiky that you cannot really grab. It's our own perception. It's what we understand. So in my opinion, or I'm convinced that the only way is transparency. Transparency means not hiding your intention between 1,500 pages of law shit, but it means I tell you in 1 or 2 sentences what I'm up to. If everyone, or if, let's say, our core enemy, Meta, Facebook, however we call them, if they would have their end user agreement, just 2 sentences. The first sentence is, we grab your data and we make crap loads of money off this. Second sentence is, we don't give a shit about you. It's up to everyone out of these 2 very simple, transparent lines to say, I'm doing business with you or no. But if they hide it, we are still comfortable with it's hidden somewhere. It's so small. We don't read it. It's okay. We know it. As soon as someone really tells you, I want to take advantage of you, we feel uncomfortable with it. So it's about transparency. Truth without transparency, ethic without transparency is worthless. So we have to trust the people that they are telling us the truth, and the AI, as soon we understand what kind of data each of the companies have collected, as soon the data is my responsibility and my property, then AI, you can use it, because then I can define how I manipulate these data sets. This is something you can't read. I give you this. This is, no, that's not your business. That's the thing. Now, and especially with Meta, going into the Metaverse, and what they can right now do with our 2D content, out of what you like, how you write, to predict what is your sexual orientation. Imagine in spatial, when you are not just talking with the people, but interacting with them. Oh gosh, this is horror.
Yeah, I just want to add to what you're saying, Jay. It's like, how, if we're in these environments, like, do we need a proof of humanity? Like, because it's like hyper realistic. Like, how do you know if you're talking to a fellow human or an AI? Especially for, children or people that are a vulnerable sector of the population, like what safeguard rails are going to be put in place? Because I see that as a quite short-term to medium-term issue that we could face.
But look, Sammy, completely valid. But that's not the problem of AI, of technology, of data, of metaverse. This problem is since the human started to be an asshole. I mean, if you have a how is it called? A pen friend, a PayPal, a pen pal that you exchange letters.
Writing.
Yeah, exactly. So it already started back then. Who ever knew really with whom he was communicating? On social media, you can pretend to be anything. You can be, let's say, talking with you, let's say, Sammy. Okay, we are exchanging via social media, they are chatting. Whoever, if I would not know you, you might be as well the 250 kilogram trucker somewhere in the basement in Wyoming, right? So that's the thing. We can pretend to be anything. So transparency would mean that we have to meet in advance, that we have to know each other, and then having a secure channel. Everything else, if it came out of the anonymity, is simply BS.
Yeah, it makes me think a lot about the whole concept I like to connect technology with, which is like the Black Mirror. As I think I may have mentioned last time, it was both an instrument from John Dee, and it was also like a popular TV show that started, I think, around 2014. And it tends to be a reflection of human nature itself. So the way we use it, the way we wield it like a sword. You think about the old Bushido way of doing things. There was a whole code of conduct around a sword, a new piece of technology which was used to rule the entire planet. And I think with technology today, we're doing the same thing. We're going to find out what our human nature is really like when we start to implement these technologies around the world. Are we going to use it to become a more human, just, and fair society, or are we going to use it to dominate, bludgeon one sector of society with the other? And, these are ethical questions that, from what I understood from Microsoft, they actually threw out their ethics committee before ramping up production of artificial intelligence, which to me is a very worrying sign as to what.
But it's a lose-lose, right? Because it's back to well, who defines what ethics is and who defines whatever. And hypothetically, you could say, well, how do I prove my identity? Crypto kind of does it. You have to photograph with your passport and whatever, and you can scan that as well. But like if some super intelligent intergalactic AI landed in the morning, saying, okay, right, I will take something from everybody's DNA. You will have a unique identity number, and you will use that to do anything. And I'm unbiased, so I won't whatever. So that you'd know who it was, and if I have something stupid to say, you'll know I said it. Here we go. He's there already. But then you go, well, but it's back to the people thing, right? So you can create that system, but then somebody will get into that system and they'll start tweaking it and going, well, I can use this. And you have a kind of a system like that in China. And it's like, well, if I don't like it, you don't get on a train. And that's back to human nature. That's not Chinese or racist or whatever. That happens everywhere. Like, whatever color, religion, wherever you're from. That's just human nature. So again, it's not the technology; it's us humans. We're the wild card.
I don't know if it's human nature. It's the society. It's the system. It's not. It does not have an intrinsic motivation. So we are, with our mindset, still stuck somewhere in the medieval age. If we would catch up with our mindset, with we as a community, I mean, you can't say anything about community in the US because community means communism. They don't have a clue what communism is, what socialism is. It's about humans. It's about us. We've been only successful because we have supported each other. This Darwin's survival of the fittest, we have simply coined it towards survival of the greediest. We have to switch back towards the fittest, which means we have to cooperate. The humans were only successful because we have developed teamwork, that we've been able to find out who is best in what and to go together. Whenever we started to act egoistically and only with our own agenda. Sooner or later, someone killed us, the wolf has eaten us, or something else happened. We are simply not designed. The human is not designed for, of course, for a hive, but it's as well not designed to be alone. Loneliness kills us. So we have to develop some kind of code of conduct. In the past, it was the 10 Commandments, these universal rules which were only successful because no lawyer was involved. It was completely clear for everyone. You shall not steal. You shall not kill. So we need these basic rules of society that are universal. In every point on this planet, you shall not kill is a natural law. While the other things, we have got on our side. Everyone says this. Come on, seriously? So here, our human system should develop, it should catch up with technology. Connectivity might be a huge accelerator when we are not just trapped in our bubble, which means our village, our nation, our administration and so on, but being more interconnected, helping the AI us to escape our bubble. This is the other superpower. It could simply help us to get this holistic view on things, to force us to see things that are outside of our comfort zone. This is my hope. So, for example, this 3 robotic laws that then turned into 4 robotic laws from Asimov might be a good chance. They are logical. Let's implement. I mean, it's on us technologists, futurists, original thinkers, developers, creatives, and so on, simply to whatever we are building, to build this under this code of conduct, to implement it so that it cannot be corrupted by the ones who want to make crap loads of money with it.
I admire your optimism, but we're an interesting race.
Yeah.
It's just like we need distributed intelligence. I don't know how that will be achieved, but I feel like that is the way will help, like you said, Jay, the AI get out of our comfort zone and like our own self-imposed AI filtration bubble.
All I can think of is the Borg.
Pretty much.
The Borg.
Yeah.
The Star Trek, the Borg.
Yeah.
You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
It's.
Look, it's a never-ending discussion, right? But to me, the latest chip, the latest Wi-Fi, the latest comms, whatever, they're all tools and whatever. This AI is fundamentally making us think about some of these questions. What is truth? Mm-hmm. What is bias? What is... do we want an unbiased world? Right? What's that going to lead? I look, technology is the easy bit. Us humans are the hard bit.
Humans
raised a really interesting question.
Humans need...
point. Going back to Life 3.0 when it came to AI, it was raising the question about whether or not AI would actually, commit to certain things based on a logical, rational explanation. David said, what if an artificial intelligence was developed and it sent out signals to the entire solar system or to the entire galaxy? And then when they decoded these symbols, aliens came, and then basically they would just mine the entire surface of the planet to create paper clips, because that was what the thing was originally created to do. So it's like, it could potentially, become smarter than us, create this ASI, and, have algorithms that could help to steer and direct humanity. That was actually one of the topics they were talking about with the United Nations. They could create an algorithm that would allow people to live under certain logical codes of conduct. Or it could do something completely, brainless, like turning the entire solar system into paper clips. So it just really depends on how it was written.
Who decides, right? That's back to the look.
Yeah.
Now we're still a long way. My own personal thing, we're so far away from that super intelligence thing taken over, I think, unless it turns up in a spaceship from somewhere else tomorrow morning. So we will have years to muddle our way through this and make all sorts of mistakes.
Absolutely. I wanted to jump quickly to the last topic, something that we could just kind of touch on. We talk a lot about the metaverse and the direction it's gone over the last few months, which has been, in my opinion, it was expected when, in 2021 that, Mark Zuckerberg revealed he was going to switch the company over to Meta from Facebook. And then there was this massive hype cycle that was reborn. I remember cringing over it a little bit when, on 28th October, when everything was revealed, and knew that at that point, the metaverse was going to go through this massive hype bubble. What are your reflections on the metaverse to date? And where do you see it going over the next few months to the year? Start with you, Kevin.
So I think it's been a brilliant 12 months for the metaverse. And I'll clarify that. It's not been a great month. Right. Back up. Metaverse is now a mainstream word. And I think more and more people are making informed decisions as to what they think it will or can or not be. Right. More than before. Now, is there still all the hype and all the doomsayers and whatever? There is. And thankfully, a lot of the hype, as you said, was complete out there. And a lot of the doomsayers, some of the stuff is correct and whatever. Now, the good news is that all those experts, they've all moved to AI now, right? So they've kind of stopped talking about the metaverse. So that's good. In the consumer side and what Meta did, and I'm still kind of going, did they get credit for raising the discussion or did they get minus points for confusing everybody? In the consumer side, it's been tough, layoffs and whatever. In the world I live in enterprise and industry, it has been phenomenal. So a couple of quick things. Hannover Messe is on this week in biggest industrial fair in the world. Everyone's talking in the German Prime Minister, Bitkom, German Trade Association, about the industrial metaverse is a strategic imperative for German industry. Siemens, Nvidia, AWS, Bosch, yada yada, and hundreds of smaller, bigger, medium-sized companies talking about AR, VR, XR, digital twin. Digital twins are the foundation, right? And that means many things to many people. You have all the providers, Nvidia, Bentley, Dassault, and Unity with their Unity Industry, Epic with their Twin Motion. Everybody's bringing out cloud-based things to democratize it. I get the thing, Jay, that, okay, there's a bit of a come use our tool and, whatever, but that's all being democratized. So the ability of startups to be able to use these tools to simulate and whatever is outstanding. And people go about the skills and how do we retrain. That's becoming a big topic, and how do we get the new things. And the last thing I'd add is that do not underestimate Roblox editor and Fortnite editor for the next generation of some of these creative people that will be creating the digital worlds and the digital models and all those concepts. They're being trained in that, not in school, but on the gaming platforms. So I think it's been a brilliant year. Now, long way to go.
Yeah, excellent points, excellent points. Sammy, jump over to you. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it's really interesting because we've definitely seen this full Gartner hype cycle effect in the media, and I've kind of experienced it myself personally. I would arguably say we're potentially in the trough of disillusionment at the moment, because people just the general public, they're apathetic to the metaverse, and due to the ambiguity of defining even the metaverse itself to the the normal consumer, I don't think this is a generalization that people understand that really the vision of the metaverse is a universal standard of interoperability. But obviously, because we're actually not there yet, we're still building, it's more of a pipe dream. So the consumers, are lacking, sentiment, and that's why they are apathetic. And so that is why, we are experiencing, I believe, the trough of disillusionment. But that being said, I would like to defend the metaverse in the sense of, because it is, I've read the book, The Spatial Web by Dan Mapes and Gabriel René, and it is the next iteration of the internet and just the, confluence of the tech stack and how we're going to experience the world and interact, and this vision of building interoperability. I'm very personally excited about Tim McSweeney's vision, with Fortnite 2.0 Creative UEFN and that stream of democratization for creatives. And, I'm also thinking about, headsets like the Apple headset that will be, released very soon, that's going to hopefully help democratize aspects of technology. But in terms of interoperability, like that is like the key aspect of what I believe is the metaverse, and we're just so far removed from it. I am following, companies like Crucible that have released in the last week, finally their Emergence SDK on the Unreal Marketplace, which is the ability to interoperate your avatars connected with all your digital assets connected with crypto. So it's great to see, startups, building in this space, but it really does come down to like the Metaverse Standards Forum and, everyone working together to achieve this grander vision. So yeah, that's what I'm personally very excited about the metaverse. And, it is, creating new opportunities for people to shine and creatives. Like I'm coming up, I've got a performance in Monaco for the Metaverse Entertainment World Summit because I was nominated for a Music Metaverse Award. And in the other categories are thank you. In the other categories are David Guetta and the Gorillas. And these are huge artists, right? Like, huge artists, so successful. Like the Gorillas, they recently did their AR experience, which was amazing in London and New York. But for an artist like me, native to the metaverse because of the character Vinci, it's giving new opportunities for people to come through and to build their businesses. So, even with the skepticism, there's bright opportunities for all.
Great points, and congrats on the win for that. Jay, moving on to you. What do you think?
Kevin already said completely right that right now the biggest advancements, developments and so on come from the industrial section. Here, it's inevitable. The digital twin is there. We even are pushing the digital twins into the product. So having a car with a digital twin, if you change something, yada, yada, and so on. So here, this is a no-brainer. It needs to come. It improves your efficiency. You can train the people. You prevent the brain drain and so on and so on if they do it in the right way. As well, the young talents that come, most of them, they do not learn all the other stuff. They simply use, when they come out of the university, or if they are developers, they already know Unreal and Unity. These are the two major things, of course, from different angles. So here, industrial B2B is okay, understood. On the everyday usage part, we struggle because we still don't have the necessary tools. No one wants to hold the smartphone up to see something in the experience. So here, as soon we have affordable, usable devices, we will see a huge boost. It's not just about the interoperability. Multimodality is important, so that the experience goes across your stuff. You start with your smartphone, then you use your whatever glasses, then you go into a VR experience and so on. So here, in fact, we would need to start thinking about having a layer just for the assets, so that you can use them in AR, in MR. And then if you go into VR, that an additional layer with the whole background, with the environment comes into this. So really that you can push things from these multimodal approaches and use how you've defined it across the layers. AI might be, and this is the thing, Metaverse is not just about XR. It's as well about the AI that comes into it. It's about the data. It's about even blockchain and all of this other stuff. So here I'm describing concepts about augmented humanity, how I call it, about personal area networks, when your gadgets are simply falling apart because you will carry your camera as an AI pin somewhere because it learns what kind of pictures you are taking. We will not need in the future of smartphones these huge displays. Therefore, the smartphones are so huge. You will have a smart bracelet, maybe glasses, maybe contact lenses, whatever. Or maybe it will be induced through a neural interface. So here, this augmented humanity, when you have your personal assistant, when you have your virtual co-pilot, helping you to drive your car, to fly a plane, to do whatever you need. Cocooning, that means your content will follow you wherever you are. So here, this connected humanity, augmented humanity, is something that is very exciting, and that of course will have a huge impact on culture, which is of course art. So artists that can develop physical and virtual products. Oh, this is really something amazing. When you have your stuff wherever you are. Or if you are focused, let's say, to collect, there is this one designer, Katie McIntyre. She's brilliant. I love her stuff. And all the stuff that she, for example, has shown in Dubai during an exhibition in the Museum of the Future is as well virtual. So you can get her virtual, her NFT assets and so on, but at the same time, you can get 3 prints to see it in real life. And this is the beauty where we really can bring as well in our own realities the stuff that we own, that we want to have, or inspiration from these virtual realities, from our own created realities into the real life. So it's not dead. The only thing that is dead is that the attention shifted somewhere else. Investors, big VCs, they are scared to invest into something. So right now it's our own opportunity to rethink the model, to create it on a more stable basis, and to really do things that are meaningful.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wanted to jump in on the points that you guys made. The way I saw it coming from, having sift through articles and look at, the different things that some of these VCs were focusing on. I think personally, and I hope I'm not really offending too many people with this, but I think they just wanted to make a quick buck. Yes. Knowing that the metaverse was actually going to take up to 10 years for it to develop into maturity. And what they wanted to do is push and say, oh, we're going to make this profitable as quickly as possible. And it's like riding a horse. If you do that, if you pull on the reins of a horse, it's going to throw you off. And that's exactly what happened to all the big tech companies, in my opinion, which I think it was important that this did take place so that people could kind of understand what is actually happening. But to say the metaverse is dead, no, it's far from dead. And in fact, on the industrial level, we are seeing nothing but meteoric rises across the board on how they can implement these technologies. And it's actually saving engineers, people working in the AEC industry, people working in the music industry, a lot of money, but also giving them a lot more creativity, giving them a lot more insights, especially as far as data is concerned. Now, as far as the consumer side will come probably at the end of the maturity phase of the metaverse, because that's when people will say, oh, okay, we want to be a part of this too. The form factors will be a lot better. People will be able to wear, smart glasses, which will probably increase the amount of engagement people have with the metaverse, which I think Qualcomm for that, being able to create the AR2 smart glasses platform. But as far as the metaverse is concerned, I think there needs to be a bit more of a sober, rational analysis of how to implement it, building those use cases, and then launching that into the real world so that people can be a part of that. And we see that through the retail industry. We see that through the industrial sector and workforce training, things of that nature. So there's a lot to be said about it. I'll leave it at that. Like I said, I don't want to rant too much. I'll probably need a pint over that just to get all the words out. But definitely fascinating discussion from all of you. Did you have any other comments, questions, things that you wanted to add before we close up?
The next hype that we will see that will be left is AI. Currently as well, many of these players are trying to make a quick buck. So I'm expecting that AI will go then as well a bit down. ChatGPT and all of these things is not so much invest as soon. Simply the thing is over. So that also here, these waves are accelerating so that if they do not burn the ground, we will have more opportunities simply to perfectionize this technology. And then, of course, everything will be shiny and happy.
Brilliant. Anyone else?
Yeah, I feel like in terms of the hype cycle with the metaverse and AI and all of that, in terms of creating the narrative, it really does also need to come from a grassroots level, bottom up, as well as a top down approach if we are to see any form of effective change for creating the worlds and tech and tools that we want to live with and engage with on a daily basis. So it's not relying on big tech or companies to come in and save the day and expect them to have the perfect ethical curated experience. It really does need to come from a grassroots level as well.
Absolutely. I think we may have had a freeze up with Kevin at the moment. Kevin, are you still on? Okay. I think he's had to run. But anyways, it's been a wonderful discussion. Thanks so much, everyone. Once again, my name is Cureton, Senior Journalist for XR Today. Been speaking with Kevin O'Donovan, Samantha Tauber, and Jay Latta. Wonderful guests that we've had on multiple times, and looking forward to the next conversations. Once again, if you'd like to continue to follow us, please do so at the Big XR News hashtag. Feel free to join us at the Twitter and LinkedIn channels that we've got on our website. And have a lovely day. And until next go round. Peace, everyone.